Well, we got to know that sound, haven't we? It is the sound of the drums ringing out across Chattanooga, Tennessee, because it means something important is just about to happen.
Set within the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. Set within the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains rests a city surrounded by sweeping views in the southeastern region, the Volunteer State. This is Chattanooga, Tennessee. A place filled with a collection of rich history ever since the mid-1800s. And today, history comes back to life as people both near and far gather along the Tennessee River in West Village to witness both vintage and historic race cars up close and personal. It's a spectacle unlike any other, set in a location known as the Scenic City.
Drivers to your cars.
Its history, its speed, its cars. This is the Chattanooga Motorcar Festival.
Well, what a weekend to be here in beautiful Chattanooga, Tennessee. But this week, it's not just for the incredible scenery, stunning hikes up through these beautiful mountains alongside the Tennessee River. No, it's not just for that. It's not to come here as a tourist. It's to come here as a tourist of the automotive type. The man-made racetrack around the streets of Chattanooga, right alongside the river, is something special, and it's drawn people in all weekend. It's a family affair. Generations coming to spark their interest, meet new friends, and rekindle old relationships. But the nighttime party continues here in West Village. It has been incredible. But of course, on today, the Sunday, it is Concours d'Elegance time. And as you look at these beautiful cars, every category literally lining up countless hours of work as they've been waiting for the judges to make their way and do their very fine inspections. A little bit of a magical mystery as to how they judge these cars, but they sure know how to do it. And when they approach you, it's a bit like the drill sergeant coming for inspection. There's so many elements to this event, it has made it just a one-of-a-kind experience. I'm Justin Bell, this is Tommy Kendall. We are the talk show, and we have done events all over the world, but nothing has quite prepared us for what we're experiencing these 3 days. Tommy, just sitting here now, who would have thought when we started on Thursday morning we were rehearsing, but Friday when we were watching everything happen at the Bend, at the racetrack for the Jim Pace Grand Prix, I mean, quite extraordinary, the journey that we've all gone on.
Well, and like you said, we've done all kinds of events all over the world, and there are lots of concours. There's a few concours in downtowns. There's a few that have racing a part of it. None of them has a downtown concours and vintage racing taking place, and all the auxiliary program. It reminds me of going to brunch when I was a little kid, and it was just everything more delicious than the next, and you had to figure out what to eat first. Here you don't get full at least, but we've had 3 days just chock full of the most spectacular cars and some of the legends that made them and made them famous.
Well, let's take a little look back at what we've experienced, literally what everybody here has experienced over the last 2 days. This is a wonderful video. Check it out. Something extraordinary, something totally unique, and something rather fast is about to happen. if that didn't get your appetite going, I don't know what could. But we're really pleased to be joined right now by the founder, the instigator, the man behind all this, Byron DeFore. Byron, just thank you. Finally, you're able to make it to the show. How does it feel after 2 days of incredible action to be here in the West Village? I mean, it's the final straight.
Well, it feels good, and just to make sure everyone out here knows that the late Jim Pace was a real help me think about how to do this, as well as many. Alan DeCadenet even had a lot of thought process. As Brian Redmond, who's in the audience, had a lot of thought process in this. But how does it feel? Well, you know, it's hard to believe it's actually happening, that it's Sunday, and it takes a lot of work. You know, after COVID, there's just no labor force, and so about 4 or 5 people that are in the audience. Tom Marshall, Amber, everyone's family came in to help me.
Yeah.
And I guess we put out thousands of bales of hay here in the tractor trailer loads of pumpkins physically.
Well, I know you and I did. Look at our hands.
Oh yeah, you helped me too. I
Yeah.
forgot. Yeah,
We did all
sorry.
this.
I'm sorry, Justin. And so it feels good to be right here today and see all these people and friends and the West Village area 7 years ago was not a pretty place. This building was abandoned behind us with not a good scene.
Yeah.
And actually the chamber came to us and asked us if we would put a Westin in this.
Yeah.
So we bought it, and we did put a Westin in. And so the problem was, I was afraid no one would stay here when we started to break ground because of all these buildings were abandoned. So a friend of mine helped me buy them, and we actually built the little village first and then the hotel.
Wow.
So to see the Motorcar Festival bring Chattanooga on the world stage is incredible, and touches just. It's hard to believe that it's happened. You know?
Wow.
Yeah.
7 years only? It's only taken
probably
7. That's
7.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
You are holding the biggest street party that Chattanooga's ever had, bringing everybody in. You've got amazing VIPs, amazing guests. They're all friends of yours. Talk about that. Ken Gross. I mean, you brought them all together.
You know, it's an amazing story. When we decided to do the Chattanooga event, we had another partner who also passed away, but one person here who I don't know where he is, but introduced me to Ken Gross, and we flew to see Ken Gross in Washington D.C. We met him at the airport, and Ken was shaking his head no the whole time, you know, and finally I started packing my bag up, and I thought, we were in a little conference room at the Dulles private area there, and he said, well, I just told my wife this morning I will not take on any more projects, but he said, I'm going to do it. So Ken Gross was able to connect me with so many people, along with Dick York, who connected me to Ken Gross, just from cars. You know, we take it lightly about the motor car world, but all these people are lovers of all things motor car. 80% of the world loves the motor car. I had a dear friend, Kimmons Wilson. He was from Memphis. He was the founder of Holiday Inns, and he had a little gallery, and we don't think about all the lives he touched around the world when Apollo 13 was stuck. Yeah. And I have to tell you the story. And so they called him from CBS. He was going bankrupt the next day, and they said, can we have some rooms in the Holiday Inn? He only had 2 Holiday Inns, but a home builder built one in Cocoa Beach. And he said, look, you can have the hotel room, but when Walter Cronkite comes on TV, he better be standing in front of my Holiday Inn sign. So that was the first time for 15-minute news breaks. And so every 15 minutes, the whole world watched. And it reminds me of his story and the pictures of all these little kids in the 1970 looking through the windows of barbershops and restaurants, watching it on TV, you know, and
amazing.
it's
Just brought it all home.
Yeah, just brought it all to the world, and that's kind of what has happened here. And so we're very proud of this love of the motor car. Is these little kids in other countries grew up and grow up with football and Formula One.
Yep,
so
that's
the
how it
whole
goes.
world loves it.
Exactly.
Motor cars.
Well, I think we'll all agree that the automotive way is also the Chattanooga way. Byron, thank you so much. We got a Concours to get ready for. You got a Concours to get ready for.
Yeah.
Guys, coming up in a minute, so the countdown, it's going to be amazing. Hold on.
You ready?
Well, let me just...
We're going to get Byron off the stage. The power that one person can move an entire, whether it's an Elon Musk in the electrical industry, Steve Jobs, or a guy like Byron DeFore in a community. 7 years ago, this was a blighted area, and with a vision to turn this into this hotel, and he clearly he was thinking about the power of projecting this image to bring people to Chattanooga. And if you would have told me 7 years ago, here's what I'm going to do, I'm like, that guy is out of his mind.
Yeah.
And he was here baling the hay himself, arranging the pumpkins, and ready to go. So we're about to see the fruits of those labors.
Yep.
It's about time to announce all the winners for the Concours d'Elegance.
It is, when you say Concours d'Elegance, we just get to see the end of this amazing process. The judges, if you see guys in lovely blazers with straw hats, boaters as we call them in the UK, they are the judges, and we can see one of our favorite ones over there. She's been doing her job. It's really quite a process, Tommy, that of course a lot of thought goes into, because every car is so well curated, they look after them, there's so many thousands of man hours have gone into making them perfect. So, I mean, really, they deserve the consideration they get right up to the moment win or lose, sadly, because it is a competition.
It is a competition. It's funny. We had Jay Leno on at a show, another show, and we said, this isn't, these people are just here to have a good time. He says, oh no, make no mistake. These people are here to win. So
he laughed, didn't he?
And these are like they might. I won't say they love more than their children. They love them as much as their children. They poured as many hours into them. Some of these parts, they'll look for a part for 3 years all over the world and finally find a new old stock part that's in a box somewhere that they've stumbled onto. It's part of the fun, chasing all that stuff, and here they get to hold them up and let everybody else appreciate them and judge them.
Cars making some noise, Tommy. I mean, it's a lovely way of phrasing it, but this is not official. This is not based on any great intellect.
This is based on
just buzz.
Word on the street, if you will. Word in the West Village. We were talking to people about what was catching their eye, and you see a mixture of, in this world, there's a lot of talk between pre-war and post-war cars. The pre-war cars are those big, just audacious, huge chrome headlights and wheels and paint and 25 feet long, and obviously over here, the gathering of the greats, all the Ferraris, but you get the modern day sports cars, American classics, American sports cars. So these are listing, there's a 21 Duesenberg A Coupe. It was the first A ever sold, and it was in the same family until 2019 over in Hawaii. That car's here. Kevin Cogan brought his 410 Super America. The America, Super Americas, and the Super Fast were special bespoke cars built for kings and special royalty around the world. What else do we have?
Well, the JW Marriott Ferrari is there, which is fitting outside.
He's owned that car for 35 years. The 250 California Spider.
I wouldn't imagine he's forced to let go of much stuff, do you?
Well, but sometimes people,
trade?
they trade around. They say, I've enjoyed this one. It's time for someone else to. But so those are some of our picks that have stood out. But as I like to say, those are the reason you play the games. Those are the reason you run the races, because all the experts in the world can pick the winners, but you don't know until you see them on the field. And these judges, we've got class experts that are experts in the types of vehicles. We've got some celebrity judges that mix in with that, and so you never know what's going to happen when you get those folks looking at a car on the day.
Well, I got to look at the V8s in the village. Well, Tommy went and checked out the extraordinary lineup of Ferraris up just in front of the Western here. Check this out.
There is not a brand with more mystique than the prancing horse of Ferrari, and Byron DeFore knows that. When he redid the Westin Hotel, he designed this car park area with the idea of parking classic cars here for a show. Talk about vision. And the mystique starts back in the early 50s and goes all the way to modern day. And whatever your flavor is, whether it's a Dino all these the California Spiders, the cars from the 60s, or the more modern stuff, the 1985 288 GTO, the F40, which is like a race car. You look underneath the back of it and it looks like a prototype underneath the bonnet. A little bit more modern F50, the Enzo, which has kind of almost Formula One type aerodynamics on it. So everything from the very beginnings all the way to the modern day, there's nothing quite like Ferrari, and this is all on display in the Gallery of the Greats outside the Westin Hotel.
You like that? Still like that?
And what's so great about this, the stories behind the cars, you know, Bill Murray owned that car, has owned his car for 35 years, but there was a car over there, a 212 Cabriolet, beautiful Pininfarina Roadster, that's in the competition class, and a gentleman who was a race car driver drove it to Nürburgring. He was supposed to race another car. There was an open slot. He entered the car in the race. His beautiful Ferrari finished third, the only time the car ever raced. And some of the, you know, and Enzo jumped on that and said, "You can buy a car for me and you can take it and go run at Nürburgring." And so it's just how the marketing and the real life stuff. So every one of these cars has an unbelievable story, and that was just one.
Now, this event has been going on now. This is our fourth year, I believe, of the event. Third year, sorry, of the event. And obviously 2020 was cancelled, but Byron decided that he wanted something very special moving forward to really cement this event, create a tribute, an honor, a memorial to the event, to the great drivers, to the great people who have been involved in racing, but also to allow the best of show winners each year to sign on this amazing statue you see behind us, which came all the way from Italy, and then the engraver will go and etch into afterwards. But of course, we don't know who's won Best of Show yet. That will be at the end of this afternoon. The winners from 2019 are about to make their way up there and sign the statue.
And I've raced, every trophy for a win is special, but I've got some pretty, pardon the French, crappy trophies. I still love them, but I mean, you've got the great trophies in the world, the Vanderbilt Cup at Indy, you've got the Stanley Cup. This is effectively the Perpetual trophy for the Chattanooga Motorcar Concours de Elegance.
Yeah.
I would assume in 100 years you come back, this bronze trophy will be here with the signature of the winners of this event. So that is pretty cool. And so
look at
here
that.
they go. Daredevil up the ladder.
I was wondering how they were going to do that this morning. Al and Barbara Mason making their way up there. Good for them.
In 1929 Auburn, the first winner coming from that pre-war category that I talked about.
I love it. Okay, you can sign away, guys.
All right, go ahead, gentlemen.
There they are. Either that's the signal they're about to fall off the ladder, or they're going to sign. We don't know. Let's hope it's the former. The latter. You know what I meant. Oh, isn't that fantastic? Well done, yeah. Round of applause for them doing that. Well, we're 10 minutes from the start of the Concours d'Elegance. Everybody in the crowd watching now, as you can see, the road is empty there. That'll start to be where we see the finalists, the second place and then the first place in class. They will make their way up here to the beat of the drums. It's going to be pretty exciting.
Now, we've seen in other shows people that have literally done everything in their lives reduced almost to tears when they win Best of Show at one of these concours. So, they're people that have done a lot of things in their lives, and so you look at the names on the entry list here, and there's some titans of industry and some big movers and collectors in the car world. So Best of Show is significant. So now we see them, they've done the signing, they're backing their way down the ladder, and who will be added to that Perpetual trophy for 2022?
So obviously over the course of the last 2 days, we've had so many fun things go on. That was Byron DeFore's vision for this. It wasn't just going to a car concours. It wasn't just going to a motor race. The idea was to bring a little bit of the best of everything. And that's really what he did. Every event he went to around the world, he said, oh, I like that. That's why we have these amazing drums. I don't think the local band in Chattanooga knew they were going to become big Taycan drum experts. but we got the chance to walk out and see a lot of the things that were happening out there. And Tommy, you went and checked out the Lemons cars for good reason, because he's a former Lemons racer.
Lemons racer, and I own one of the oddest cars on earth, my beloved 73 Oldsmobile chicken car. So it's actually my fame from the chicken cars surpassed my Hall of Fame racing career, which is fine with me. But if you like a little bit of odd, quirky stuff, you are not alone.
Yeah. Well, check this out, because this is Tommy getting to grips with his real kind of people.
The Concours de Lemon is winding down, and it is everything from soup to nuts. I don't know why someone would preserve a Aries wagon this well, a 1965 Dodge, 85 Dodge Aries wagon, but I'm kind of glad they did, and they're finally having their moment. We'll go over here. This is the worst of show, and we've got a Pontiac Sunbird, and Larry Light, you must be very proud. Worst of show. There's the very proud trophy. Mixed feelings or just pure pride?
Pure pride. It's been a lot of fun. We've had, we drove down here from Indiana. We're getting ready to get in the car and drive back, and we've just had a great time.
Did you restore this car yourself?
Yeah, I did everything but spray the paint.
What possessed you? Why this car?
I had one back in the day that I loved, and I ran across this on Craigslist, and I couldn't not get it, you know.
Wayne Carini says, buy what you love. So now we're going to go over here to the cars probably closest to my heart. These are art cars, and I don't even know what that is underneath that one there. Oh, my goodness. That is, someone got a bedazzler, and they went to town. I'm speechless, but they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and I am gobsmacked by these. My mom used to always say, talking about relationships, every pot has its lid. Holds true in the car world as well.
Well, I thought it was really important you saw just what this Concours d'Elegance is not about. That is the other side of what goes on. Also, with some, while they're getting ready and the judges' final decisions are in, I headed over yesterday to, actually on Friday, to the Coca Museum.
Before you do that,
yeah.
We want to invite those of you, if you're like me that had some bad wheels, we've got a bunch of seats here. So if you want to move forward, fill in these seats. There aren't enough for everyone, but maybe leave it for the older folks first, but fill in these seats up front before we get the show started.
So just a quick look, I headed over to meet up with Corky Coca over at his museum, but actually he didn't know I was coming, and there were some other big celebrities there. Check this out. That's right. I made my way from West Village to this hidden gem, the Coca Museum. Tell you what, we came and shot here and did the interview with Corky Coca just a few weeks ago, and just blown away. It's a time capsule of the best of American motorcycles, early period cars. But of course, I'm a Euro guy, you know, skinny jeans and all that. So it's a 308 GTS. You've got an E-Type. I love that. And then a Model T, the car that changed the automotive world and brought mobility and liberty, basically, to every man and woman. Oh, and then you have a 300 SL. That's the car, isn't it? Every good collection has one, and every good collection I've ever been to seems to. But let's go in here. We're actually about to crash Corky's little party over here, because, you know what? He's the one that normally does all the talking. So let's make our way in here. Past the Bentley, past the beautiful Doomsburg. I'm going to slide in here. Sorry. So, look, these guys talk more than anyone. Wayne Carini, he is not the docent here. This is the man himself. This is the.
My name is Justin Bell, and I used to drive fast, but now I just carry a microphone, and now I can't even hardly shift gears.
Yeah, so true. But do you like my mustache? That's what happens is.
He's got the third best mustache because he needs a little help.
I
It's
do
a
need a little help.
starter mustache.
No, mine is the homeless look. That's what I'm going with. Wayne, come in here. Look, Wayne Carini, this is live. We're out there to the whole the village right now and at the racetrack. I came here and interviewed you the other day.
Yeah.
And I just said, any collection worth its salt has a 300 SL. Boom, there it is, right?
Well, I just called up my friends at Bonham's and said, hey, I want a 300 SL, and, you know, they sent me a bill, and it's here.
Isn't that funny how that works?
It's amazing how that is. It's nothing that you can't fix with just a little money, my dad used to say.
Well, Wayne, you live in that world. I mean, all the time. As you walk around Quirky's collection here, started by his father a long time ago, what catches your eyes? Because I'm a Euro, as I said, skinny jeans, things like that. Don't look at my jeans. I just saw you do it. What do you like in here?
I like everything, and that's just the key. That's why Quirky and I are such great friends. Yeah. We love each other, but yet we have similar taste in cars. And the 300 SL is a cornerstone of any good collection. If you want a real solid collection, you have a Duesenberg, you have all these great brass cars, and you have a 300 SL.
Right next to a Ford T.
Yeah, American Underslung, or a 1911 Mercer Raceabout. You got to have one.
Well, I'm going to point this out. You know, Tommy Kendall is my host on the talk show. We just played the video of Tommy holding on to Quirky like this as they drive around the track in the Mercer, because you get on it, Quirky. But that's the point. You drive. You love these cars.
That's what we do. That's what we did today. We had a wonderful time at the racetrack today. I'm telling you, it was a great session. Group 1 did great. And let me tell you, we qualified first with a Coker and a Mercer. We qualified second with a Coker and a Mercer. We're knocking it out, baby.
That's great. I'm just very glad to say on behalf of my people who were once great, you need to take a big look at the Bentley on your way out, because that is right at the front for good reason. Because back in its day, you know, the British were pretty quick.
That was back in the day. Chip Foose, come over here.
Oh, Chip Foose is in here.
Chip
Wow.
Foose is in here. I mean, one of the best car builders that you've ever seen, that you've ever known. Chip Foose is in Chattanooga, Tennessee. 2 of my best buddies. You need to come down to the Chattanooga Motorcar Festival today. If you're down at the Motorcar Festival, invite your friends. 2 of the best guys in the car business right now. 3 best guys in the car business right now.
We can make it 4 with you.
Yeah.
Chip, it's good to see you, buddy. I'm glad you're here. As a designer, I mean, everybody knows who Chip is, right? And you're legendary now in what your influence on car design and the car culture. When you walk around a collection like this, what do you see that goes, God, there's an element of that I would love to incorporate?
Oh, everything in here can spark an idea. Oh, really? But the Duesenberg is something that I've wanted to do for a long time. And I've got a customer who just bought one, and he's going to be bringing it to the shop right after SEMA. And we're going to tear it apart, because this car was being restored in the 70s. The chassis was finished and waiting for the body to get out of the paint shop. The paint shop burnt down. So the car was rebodied in the 70s. So we have bought this car. We're going to pull the body that's on it off of it, and then we're going to redesign it as if it were back in the 30s and hand build it. Because at Duesenberg, you bought a chassis, and then you went to a designer and a coach builder and you built your car. So we're going to be doing that as if it were back in the 30s.
Do they live your life? Do they live the life we all want? I think they do, right? Round of applause for everybody here. Thank you. Appearing here nightly. No, that's a lie. All right, back to the track. Well, this is it, guys. It is time. You can see all the judges. Wait. We have the one and only Bill Rothermel, who is there, who is the voice of Car Concours across the country. He knows everything about these cars. I'm setting him up. It is time for the 2022 Chattanooga Motorcar Festival, presented by Millennium Bank. It is the Concours d'Elegance.
Justin and Tommy, thank you very much. We are live? Yeah. Chattanooga, welcome. Thank you for having us. This is our 3rd time back here, and it's great to be in Chattanooga. So thank you all very much. We really appreciate it. Everybody's great hospitality. A lot of fun. Stick one. Oh. A lot of fun. We have Mike. Okay. A lot of fun. Everybody's just been so accommodating, and it's just been wonderful. In case you missed it, Alan Barb Mason, our first ever winners of Best in Show with their 28 Auburn. Am I correct? 28 Auburn Speedster. Signed the Ignis Glaze statue, which will be permanently enshrined here in the lobby of the Westin. So congratulations to them. Thank you for being here. And without further ado, we'll kind of get along with our festivities. I'd like to also recognize Byron DeFore, who's without his vision, we wouldn't have today, and the DeFore family, the DeFore brothers. So really great. Our Grand Marshal, Lynn St. James. There she is. Our Grand Marshal Emeritus, Quirky Coker, and Grand Ambassador to the festival, Mr. Brian Redmond. Also, the director of the Concours, who's I think somewhere behind me here, Ken Gross, who you'll hear from in a bit. Judges, if you would please enter center stage.
Yeah.
That would be here, yes. You know what's interesting? These guys know everything there is to know about cars, but they are terrible at following instructions when it comes to doing this. Time after time after time.
Oh, that was my pick.
The judges for the 2022 third annual Chattanooga Concours Elegance. Our chief judge, Mr. Mike Tilson. Brad Bean. Ralph Berthier. Tom Cotter. Russell Glace. Barry Harms. Summer Hooker. David Kirkman. Jonathan Klinger. Jim McCraw. Dane Medici, Mark Moskowitz. Phil Neff. Ed Nareski. Matt Orendek. J.C. Osteen. Whitney Overrocker. Bruce Patton. Bob Platts. Andy Reid. George Ross. Toby Ross. Yvonne Ruiz. Bill Scheffler. Brian Slark. Eric Smith. Susan Tadios. Alan Taylor. Mark Terlecki. Peter Wild. And the gathering of the greats, the Ferrari judges, Chief Judge Chris Current, Alex Algram, David Cart, Stuart Field, Parker Hall, James Patterson, Eric Peterson, Enrique Senor, Bob Weiner, and Dustin Wetmore. Ladies and gentlemen, your judges for the 2022 Chattanooga Motorcar Festival. Judges, you are excused. Okay, our next award, our first award, I should say, is perhaps for many of the owners their favorite award to receive. It's the Hagerty Youth Judging Award. And, you know, all of us who are judges at events like this, we have our favorite cars, our biases, we know people, just so many different things that kind of come together. But what's great here is these are from the heart. These are kids who are having their, in many cases, their initial judging experience, learning what it's like to become a judge later on. And they don't necessarily have the biases that we do. So the kids actually go around and look at several different cars, do a similar process to what the adult judges do, and they pick their favorite car. With me is Jonathan Klinger from Hagerty. And Jonathan, why am I not surprised what they picked? But go ahead if you'd say a few words.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. So we had 11 kids join the youth judging program today, ages about 6 up to 12 or 13. And, you know, what's really neat is they are, as Bill said, about as unbiased as you could possibly become. But the cars that they judged today, the one that they chose they awarded 3. So third place, listen to this variety. A 1930 Alpha 6C is in third place. Second place was a 1967 Ford Mustang Shelby GT 500, so quite a difference there. And then the first place, which we're going to bring up on stage here in just a moment, was a beautiful 1983 Audi Quattro. And so when you talk about like what's the interest in the next generation, and I think this is going to be an excellent example of what is about to come up on stage. And here they come. All right. Yeah. Isn't this a beautiful example? This is an incredibly low mile, original paint, wonderfully well preserved, and more importantly, the owner of this car was so generous to work with the kids and tell them about it, why he's interested in it, and that goes a long ways as to what they found so interesting. This is a program we've been doing for more than a decade. There's been more than 10,000 young people take part in this program around US and Canada and even in parts of Europe. So thank you to the show for allowing the younger generations to experience this just in the same way that so much of us have. So thank you so much.
I think it's also interesting they picked this car. These are hot, and I mean hot as collectibles. If you have an Acura NSX, an Audi Quattro, something of this era, what we're going to talk about later, the Radwood cars from 1980 through 1999, this is probably the hottest segment of the collector car market. These cars are rare as can be because they were used hard and put away wet, as the saying goes, and to see one in such pristine condition like this, absolutely superb. And you, my friend, have a very valuable car. Great job. Oh, congratulations. And kids, thank you very much. Hagerty as well. Okay, thank you, gentlemen, very much. We'll begin with our awards. And we'll be presenting the Outstanding in Class Award and then the Best in Class Award. This is Class 2 Pre-War Special Interest, which will be presented by Wayne Carini of TV's Chasing Classic Car and Wayne Carini's The Chase magazine. How was that for a plug? Did I do good? Okay. This is the 1937 Ford Sedan Delivery. Take a good look at this because this is really Bob Gregory and Edsel Ford at their finest. Henry Ford did not particularly have what you could say would be good taste in an automobile design, but his son had great taste in design, and he hired a man by the name of Bob Gregory. The two of them went about redesigning the Ford Motor Company lineup. These very, very sleek designs, almost Lincoln-esque in appearance. Of course, they were the first in a low-price car with the V8 engine. Really, really handsome car. Outstanding in class. Congratulations. Our first in class award, our best in class award, goes to Mark and Hillary Becker with the 1936 Chrysler Airflow. This is a really landmark automobile in every respect because what you have here is a car that was so far ahead of its time that the market was not ready for it. Chrysler had the most beautiful cars from 1931 to 1933 in terms of their lineup, and they completely changed gears in 1934. This was a wind tunnel tested car. It was an early design that used unitized body. It was the first car where the back seat sat ahead of the rear axle. The front of the car was roughly 10 inches longer than was standard on the car relative to the axle ratio to the interior at the time. It was a very, very advanced automobile, and the public said no thanks. And unfortunately, the car did not sell well. It almost put DeSoto out of business. DeSoto did not have a conventional car, but Chrysler did. They had an Airflow and an Airstream. The Becker's car is perhaps one of the finest you'll ever see, and it's a coupe version of the car, which is super rare. Am I correct? There are five that are known to exist today. So super, super rare car that you're seeing here, and an early example of both aerodynamic and Art Deco design. You guys know I love your car. Awesome car. Thank you. Our next car would be in the pre-war American classics. These are cars that are recognized by the Classic Car Club of America. So these would be cars roughly from 1917 to 1948. Limited production cars, high horsepower, things such as that. This is an L29 Cord. This is a 1930, did I get that right? L29 Cord, owned by Greg Ornazian, which is the recipient of Outstanding in Class, being presented by Mike Haskew of Millennium Bank. The L29 was the I guess you could say, the engineering name for this particular car. This was the first front-wheel drive car offered for sale in the United States. Very shortly thereafter, the Ruxton was introduced. The Cord lasted for just 3 years, 1920, 1930, and 1931. They were very elegant automobiles, and they sat roughly 10 inches lower than did a typical production car of the time, because there was no drive shaft going to the back of the car. You used to sit above the drive shaft. You didn't have a hump in a car like we do now. Very elegant automobiles. They were designed by Alexei Soknovsky, a Russian. Just beautiful automobiles, and this is especially handsome in that black and orange color combination with what we call wood lights. Very handsome car. Thank you so much. Congratulations, Jason. We appreciate it. Our Best in Class award in the American pre-war classic cars is the later version of the Cord. That's the 1929 to 1931 car. Because the Depression was so hard hit on the automobile industry, and this price point of automobiles especially, Cord was actually going to be making this as what we call a baby Duesenberg. However, it never came to fruition as a Duesenberg. It was named the Cord 810 and 812 for 1937, like the car that you see here. This is Jack Boyd Smith, winner of Best in Class, with his 1937 Cord. Another landmark automobile, we call it the coffin nose Cord because of the shape of the nose. Hideaway headlights, unitized body, a V8 engine with an optional supercharger, a very advanced automobile, and once again, another front-wheel drive car. There would not be another front-wheel drive car in the United States after 1937 until 1966 when Olds introduced the Toronado. Especially important about this car is the car. This was Amelia Earhart's car, the aviatrix who was we lost over the Pacific Ocean, which she was trying to make an around-the-world trip. Jack, fabulous car. As you well know, I love your car. Congratulations on your Best in Class award. Jason, thank you. Okay, Tom Cotter will be presenting the Barn Find Hunter himself. This is pre-war European classics. These would be European cars that are recognized by the Classic Car Club. This would be Garrett Hyam, driven by John Dega. This is a 1938 Lancia Esturo Tipo 241, which means a Type 241. This is a 4th series Lancia Estura. Lancia was, of course, an Italian car. This particular car was ordered by Benito Mussolini's son-in-law. However, he would never receive the car because Mussolini would have him executed, and subsequently he never got the car. So it was sold to an Italian, I guess you could say, bon vivant of the sort. Lancias are very advanced automobiles, lots of interesting things. They pioneered in V4s, V6s, things like that. And you have this fabulous coach-built body on this car by Pininfarina. Lovely car, and a car you rarely, if ever, get to see. John, thank you so much, and tell Garrett thank you as well. Congratulations. Our winner of Best in Class in the European Classic Post-War category goes to Steve Plaster with a 1933 Isata Fraschini. What's to be said here? Isn't that a fabulous car? This particular car has coachwork on it by Castagna. The Type 8 series Isata is rather famous because this is the first series production 8-cylinder inline engine that was ever built in the world, and that was Isata's claim to fame. This was really the Italian Rolls-Royce. Very, very luxurious automobiles. In the case of this car, it wears coachwork by Castagna. This is one of 2 that were built. It was Castagna's feature car at the 27th Salon de l'Automobile in Paris in October 1933, and it is a magnificent automobile with a lovely, lovely, again, coachwork body by Castagna of Milan, Italy. Congratulations. Tell Steve thank you as well. Lovely car. I never get tired of seeing that car. Next is our motorcycle class. These guys have a tough job taking a trophy home. So we'll kind of perhaps hand that to them as they get off the stage. I'm going to thank, first of all, our producer, presenter. We don't have a particular presenter, so your job is to present, okay? Or is Summer doing that? Is Alan? I'm sorry. Alan Galbraith is going to be presenting the award for the motorcycle class. Outstanding in class goes to Mike Schwartz with the 1983 Suzuki Katana. And I'm going to thank my friend Summer Hooker for writing me some cliff notes because I don't know a lot, if anything, about motorcycles. This was designed by Hans Muth, who also designed the BMW R90S. The Katana was released in 1981. This has a top speed of 147 miles per hour. Okay, he says he's never done that before. The Buff magazines panned its design, but the public loved it, and it was a sales success. Very cool bike, and I have to say I'd like to see you do 147, but this is not the place for that, so thank you so much. Congratulations on your award. Our winner of Best in Class in the motorcycle category goes to Mark Sepulveda with a 1950 Rickman Matchless G9 Super Cup Clubman. This was AMC's first venture into parallel overhead valve twins. It released with an eye towards the American market, where they sought to upgrade contemporary twin design by introducing a third main bearing in between the crank throws. This particular bike gave rise to a racing version known as the G45, which was really unparalleled in terms of design amongst motorcycles when these were new. Once again, congratulations to Mark Sepulveda with a 1950 Rickman Matchless G9 Super Clubman. Congratulations on your award. Thank you very much. Okay, our next award is Post-War American Special Interest. These would be cars that are built after World War II. And I have to announce, I'm sorry, Judy Stropus is going to be our presenter in this category. Our Outstanding in Class award goes to James Wagnon with a 1957 Cadillac Model 62 convertible. This was the Series 62. There were two convertibles in the Cadillac lineup, the Series 62 and the Eldorado. The Eldorado was significantly more expensive, though, than the Series 62. However, this was the popular car. Cadillac sold 9,000 of these in 1957, which was really a remarkable number for a luxury automobile and an expensive convertible such as this. This was the only year that Cadillac ever did forward canting fins at the rear end of the car. Otherwise, the fins were much more rearward facing. And of course, as time would go on, they would get bigger and bigger. The bumper guards that you see on the front of the car are one of my favorite things. They are called Dagmars, and they are nicknamed after a buxom blonde of the era. So I don't care if it's sexist, I think it's funny. So I must apologize for this poor gentleman. He had a mishap with his car, and there is a rule, I should point this out, when you're judging cars at an event like this, if something happens on the way to the show or at the show, it does not count against you. And unfortunately, he had a little mishap with his grill. So we're sorry that happened, but we're glad you're here, and we're glad you're on the stage. It's an awesome car. Congratulations on your award. Thank you very much. Okay, our best in class in post-war American special interest is K.O. Irwin's 1960 Chevrolet Impala. If you didn't get to take a look at this car, you're going to see it now. It is absolutely one magnificent restoration. This is a really great example of Harley Earl and Harley Earl's influence on the design of General Motors cars. If you look at the rear fender of the car as you're seeing it, that is actually a jet, and the jet trail behind it. He was obsessed with jets. Jets spoke speed to him, And obviously, he did that too on automobiles to convey that as well. This was America's most popular car, the Impala, but however, you could choose it, of course, in station wagon, coupe, sedan, convertible form. My favorite thing about these cars is the interior fabric, which is houndstooth, and it's in blue, two-tone blue. Why don't car companies make interiors like this now? You know, I'm tired of gray, black, and tan. I want this in the inside of my car. Absolutely fabulous automobile. Thank you so much for bringing it, and congratulations on your award. Our next award will be presented by our director, Ken Gross, director of the Concours. And Ken is going to be presenting the Post-War American Sports Car Award. Outstanding in class goes to my friend Brad Bean with a 1960 Chevrolet Corvette. I've actually had the pleasure of driving this car on a tour. But what's really important for you to know about this car is the color combination. It's called Cascade Green, and the idea of this color was that it was supposed to appeal to women. Chevrolet was trying to market their cars towards women. Unfortunately, they built 65 of these cars. That was it. And in case of Brad's car, when he bought the car, it was red with white cobes. And Brad, when they were taking the paint down on the car, the second layer of paint was white, and the third layer of paint was this wonderful Cascade Green and ivory combination. The entire car had been painted white, so the guess was that the dealer painted the car white to be able to sell it because this color did not appeal. Now we look at this car and it's outstanding. I mean, we just love the colors. This is a 270 horse, 283 cubic inch engine, which means it has two 4-barrel carburetors. And that, as I say, Brad has never found a gas station it didn't like. Am I correct? Yes, that's exactly right. Awesome car. You know I love your car. What can I say? Congratulations on your award. And our best in class in the post-war American sports car categories goes to K.O. Irwin with a 1963 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray Coupe. You're going to get a great view of this car from the side. So Brad's car was a 1960. 3 years later, this is what Chevrolet introduced on the market, and the market went nuts. This was designed by Larry Shinoda under the guise of Bill Mitchell, who was his boss at GM. This is a 1-year-only car with that unique split rear window that you see on the back of the car. There are two stories as to why that exists. Zora Arkus-Duntov, who was the head engineer, wanted it. Did not want it. Bill Mitchell wanted it. They supposedly cut a deal that they would be allowed to stay for 1 year. The other story is that the public didn't like it because they couldn't see out the back window, and the split was eliminated. But what it has given us is one of the most collectible Corvettes of all Corvettes. And I love this car in this color. It is just superb. Absolutely beautiful. Congratulations on your award. Thank you so much. Great car. That is a stunning automobile. Speaking of stunning automobiles, in the post-war European special interest category, this award will be presented by Chip Foose. Best in class goes to John Shalhoub with a 1947 Bentley Mark VI a fixed head coupe. This car has coach work by Fagoni and Falaschi. Fagoni and Falaschi was an Parisian coach builder, two Italians, I should say, but in Paris. And what happened was, prior to World War II, every Bentley you got had a coach-built body that was sent to a coach builder, and you chose the car or the body of your choice. After World War II, they had a standardized body, yet about 20% of the cars still went to a coach builder for a specific body. This is one of one, the only coach-built Bentley post-war that was built with a Fagoni and Falaschi body. Wonderful car, and just beautiful. Thank you so much, Mike, for bringing it. Great car. Congratulations on your award. Our next award category is the post-war European sports early. So these would be the earlier cars amongst the categories we have. Outstanding in class goes to Keith Bass with a 1953 Aston Martin DB2/4. Just look at that car. My gosh, that is a handsome automobile. Aston Martin, of course, is a British manufacturer. They were a boutique manufacturer, almost always on the brink of a financial difficulty. But this is the period of time where David Brown took over the company and really kind of brought things to fore. David Brown is the DB in DB2/4. Those were those initials come from. These cars were originally post-war using a Lagonda engine that was designed by W.O. Bentley. Of course, that evolved over time with the Tadek-Marek design engine. These are beautiful road cars, and just, I think your car is incredibly, incredibly handsome. Congratulations on your award. Great car. And our best in class goes to Summer Hooker with a 1964 Alfa Romeo, it's actually a Giulia, Sprint Speciale two-door coupe. This is a case where you actually bought a coach-built automobile that came off the production line. These particular cars were designed by Franco Scaglione. They were introduced at the 1957 Turin Auto Show. They were kind of a miniaturized version of the Alfa Romeo BAT show cars. This particular car was owned previously by Guy Webster, the famous rock and roll photographer who photographed the Rolling Stones, Mamas and Papas, and the Doors. He was a collector of Italian vehicles, and he was the owner of the vehicle before Summer took over. Great car. Congratulations on your best in class, and thank you for bringing it. Very cool. Next class, Class 10, will be presented by Justin Bell. This is post-war British sports cars. Outstanding in class goes to William Kennedy with a 1974 TVR 2500M. Trevor Wilkinson was the founder of TVR. This was a British specialty manufacturer. In many instances, they were of a TVR design, almost always very short wheelbase cars with a high horsepower type of engine, fiberglass body. In the case of this car, this has a 2.5-liter six-cylinder engine from a Triumph TR6. Later cars had Ford V8s in them. They are known for their power-to-weight ratio. These are very light cars. Hold on, right? Yeah, that was a perfect example. This is the car where you hold on when you mash the pedal, because they are very fast, because they're very lightweight, very nimble handling cars, and darty. That's a good word that we're going to use to describe this car. But a car that you don't typically see. You are the original owner of this car. No? Yes? Okay. Original owner of this car. It was your daily driver for 15 years. You stored the car for 28 years before you began the restoration in 2019. Are you nuts? Great car. Congratulations. We don't think you're nuts. Our best-in-class car in the post-war British sports cars goes to James Harris with the 1956 AC Bristol Ace. If this car looks familiar to you when you see it come up here on the show field, it might look a little bit like a Shelby Cobra. AC was Auto Carriers, which was the official name of the company. They began by building three-wheel delivery vehicles, and they shocked everybody in the 50s when they introduced this car as the Ace, which is a very handsome sports car along the lines of a Ferrari Barchetta. What made this car, however, famous, actually two things. This has a Bristol engine in it, which is really a BMW 328 pre-war engine in the car, which were raced until the 1960s, which is how stout that engine was. But this was the basis of the Shelby Cobra. Carroll Shelby inked a deal with AC to buy these cars. They were sent to the U.S. with a lengthened nose and a Ford V8 put under the hood, and the rest, as they say, is history. This is the real deal in pure form, and James's car is a beautiful example of that. Jimmy, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Great car. And apparently you have a fan club over there. Okay, in the American muscle car category, our good friend, the queen of motorsports herself, and my crush from childhood.
Thank you for all the kind folks that came. This is a fabulous show. Bill, you do a great job. My hat's off to everyone that brought their gorgeous cars, and thank you all.
You're wonderful, Linda. Thank you very much. Linda is my childhood crush, and every year I make a fuss over her, and every year she makes a fuss over me, and I go home a happy man. What can I say? This is the American Muscle category, which how appropriate can it be? Outstanding in class goes to Keith Faust. It's not here. Okay, first in class goes to Brian Dunham with a 1972 Mustang Mach 1. This was when, in 1971, Ford lengthened, or 72, I should say, 71, Ford lengthened the Mustang. The muscle car era was kind of coming to the close. We really consider the muscle car era as 1964 to 1974, beginning and bookended by the GTO. The Mustang kind of became a pony car. It was this kind of the smaller version of the muscle car run in the Trans Am classes. This particular car is powered by a 351 Cleveland V8, which was the big motor. The 429 was gone. The 390 was gone. This was now the big motor. And the muscle car era, as I say, was coming to a close. I think that color is called lime metallic. Am I correct? Yeah, it's called lime metallic. I love this color on this car. Congratulations on your Best in Class award in the muscle car category. Thank you very much. Thank you, Linda. Our next award is the Viper category, the Dodge Vipers. First in class goes to Robert Hutcherson with a 2009 Dodge Viper ACR. We're all a little trepidatious here when we watch these cars with the low chin spoilers come up here. Good job. The Dodge Viper was shown as Ken Gross is going to be presenting this award for Best in Class. In this category, this particular car is an ACR, which stands for American Club Racing. This was a limited production version of the Viper. When this car came out and was shown at the International Auto Show in Detroit, people went nuts over the car, and Chrysler quick-started the car and announced the car to come to market, and it did as a 1992 model year entry. What was interesting about the car is it was a V10, which was unusual at the time, with side exiting exhaust. This is a fourth generation, am I correct? Yeah, the fourth generation car, so it is a much more refined automobile, much more horsepower, and it has this wonderful exhaust note that is unique to a V10 automobile. Great car in a beautiful condition, I'm at it. Excellent preparation. Congratulations on your award for the Best in Class in the Viper category. One of my favorite categories is the following, and we talked about this earlier. Outstanding in Class goes to Dale Whitney with a 1983 Audi Quattro. This award will be presented by Alan Galbraith. This is, again, the Radwood class. And many of you may be hearing that name for the first time, so listen up, because it's a big deal. Radwood is the cars from 1980 through 1999. This is the hottest segment of the market right now. If you get to go to a Radwood event, you've got to go to it because it's going to remind you of cars that you haven't seen in forever. And they have music and people dress up for the period. It's just a wonderful experience. All that being said, this is an Audi Quattro. So this is an all-wheel drive Audi. Actually, something that you may not realize. You see the 4 rings on the side of the Audi. A lot of people wonder what that's all about. I have a very dear friend who was an Olympian, and he wears his Olympic rings on his lapel, and a lady came up to him at the Amelia Island Concours and asked him how things were like working for Audi. So anyway, the 4 rings are the 4 companies that made up Audi: Auto Union, DKW, Wanderer, and Hork. And so those 4 companies merged. VW bought the company in the early 60s and renamed the company Audi. Audi developed this all-wheel drive system. The cars were rallied. They beat everybody, and they built a production version of the car, which has an unusual 2.2-liter inline 5-cylinder engine. What has happened, however, as you heard me say earlier, these cars are all gone for the most part, and this is remarkable to see one of these in such spectacular condition. There isn't a 25-year-old kid here that would not kill you to get that car. It's a great automobile. Congratulations. Best in class in the Radwood category. This car is fabulous. This is Alan Linden's 1984 Mercedes-Benz 500 SEL AMG. Most of you know what an AMG Mercedes-Benz is, or an M-Series BMW, or a V-Series Cadillac. It's the factory tuner version of the car. This car, however, was sent to AMG by a private owner from Miami before Mercedes-Benz had an official relationship as AMG being owned by Mercedes-Benz. All kinds of crazy things were done to this car, punching it out from 5 to 5.4 liters, all kinds of modifications to the engine, suspension, the interior. It even has a Clarion G80 rack stereo system, which I'm loving that. I thought that was awesome. The car remains all original as it was delivered new and is accompanied by its AMG original invoice. I love your car. It's fabulous. Thank you so much and there's not a kid here that, watch out for all the 25 to 30-year-olds that want this car on the way out. Great car. Okay, in the next class, Porsche. And if you learned anything here today, Porsche is a 2-syllable word. It is not a Porsche. It's a Porsche. And this is a really fabulous example of a Porsche. Outstanding, and being presented by our Grand Marshal, the wonderful Lynn St. James, racer Lynn St. James. Is outstanding in class goes to John Trubin, the owner of a 1989 Porsche 911 Speedster. Porsche reprised the Speedster, which was originally designed to be, use these words carefully, a low-cost Porsche, which there is no such thing anymore, a low-cost Porsche ideal for club racing. When the car was reprised in 1989, it was done in limited edition format. This particular car is called Baltic Blue, is the name of the color. It is one of about 800 that were sent to the United States. This particular car has the wide body kit that you see, like the turbo look cars on the back. The windshield is shortened, although this car has windows, unlike a real Speedster, original Speedster, I should say, which did not. These are very, very desirable and now very collectible amongst modern day Porsche collectors. Great color, by the way. I love Baltic Blue with that gray interior. Awesome car. Congratulations on your award. And nothing quite sounds like an air-cooled Porsche. Our first-in-class car goes to Charles Moore with a 1956 Porsche 356A Cabriolet. Porsche introduced the 356, or its predecessor, in 1948. Believe it or not, the cars were built in a sawmill in Gmünd, Austria. And as time went on, and of course production increased, they were built on VW mechanicals and VW licensed materials, but the car became developed as a true Porsche. The 356A is really the first, so to speak, series cars. These are, of course, rear engine, air-cooled, flat four-cylinder engines. They are very, very nice driving and very nice handling cars, extremely collectible. I need to remember the name of this car, color, I'm embarrassed to say. Mice and blue, I should have remembered that. Mice and blue, and if you ever look at cars, blue sports cars with red interiors always look right. And if you tried to buy a car today, a blue exterior with a red interior, they'd kick the order back from the factory. And this is really a fabulous car, a handsome automobile. Beautiful car. Congratulations on your award. Our next awards will be presented by our Grand Marshal Emeritus, Mr. Brian Redman. Outstanding in class in the Mercedes category goes to Ralph Berthier with a 1975 Mercedes-Benz 450 SL. These cars are known internally as an R107. This is probably, I would say, got its claim to fame in the movie American Gigolo. Is that you, Ralph, by the way? Okay. In the movie American Gigolo, if you remember, Richard Gere drove one of these. But I remember my first Mercedes-Benz that I drove was this car. One of my best friends in college, his dad got a new one of these every year, and nobody knew he got the car. His dad would hide the car because it was such an expensive car, and he didn't want anybody to know that he got it. But I got a chance as a college freshman, I think it was, to drive this car around, and I'll tell you, I thought I was king. Ralph extensively rallies this car. He has shipped it all over the world. More recently, you were in Italy and somewhere else, Morocco, and did rallies in this particular car, which is super cool. Congratulations on your Outstanding in Class award. Go on some more rallies. And Best in Class in the Mercedes category goes to Tom Zarella with a 1970 Mercedes-Benz 280 SE. What you're looking at here are the final cars that Mercedes-Benz built in Sindelfingen, Germany, that were actually done by hand. These cars were assembled by hand. They were finished by hand. The convertible top, for example, has 4 layers thick of canvas and lining and insulation in them. They are brilliantly built automobiles down to the intimate detail. In the case of this car, it's a 280, so it's a 2.8 liter inline 6-cylinder engine with fuel injection. These are very, very nice driving cars and extremely collectible among today's collectors. Congratulations on your Best in Class award. Very pretty car. Our next cars are the Ferrari category, the Ferrari class of cars. And with me is Chris Current, who's the head judge of the FCA, or Ferrari Club of America. Our first car is in the Grand Touring category. Outstanding in class goes to Chuck Aker with a 1967 Ferrari 330 GTS. This is being presented by Ferrari of Atlanta, Craig Forbes, Ferrari coordinator, Steve Algram, and Ferrari Chief Judge Chris Current. A 330 GTS means this car followed the 275. GTS means Grand Touring Spider. And I believe this particular car, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, is Rosa Rubino, am I right? The dark Ferrari red?
Yes, it is.
Anything why you guys, particularly this car, clicked with the judges?
It's just very, very original. We look for originality and authenticity, and this car is very original, very, very well restored. and it represents the mark from the day it left the factory in 1967.
Gorgeous car. David, thank you very much. Just as outstanding. I love that color combination. Really pretty. Our best in class in the Ferrari Grand Touring category goes to John Gerhard with the 1966 Ferrari 275 GTB. So that would be Gran Turismo Berlinetta, which means it's a coupe. The 275 really kind of was the beginning of the modern day supercar amongst Ferraris. Under the hood is a 12-cylinder engine. This was the first time a Ferrari came without wire wheels as standard. They became optional. And also the first time that the engine was in the front and the transaxle to the rear of the car in the interest of weight distribution. Although I would also say, and correct me if I'm wrong, probably one of the prettiest of the modern day Ferraris.
Absolutely. There's the two-cam. This is the two-cam version. There's also a four-cam version, which you can usually recognize from the outside because it has extra little bulge on the top. Used to own one of those four cams. Probably the most interesting, fun, and entertaining Ferrari to own because it's sensuous.
That's a very good choice of words. Congratulations to the Gerhards. They're very kind in that they show their car all over the place, so thank you guys very much. In our Ferrari competition cars, outstanding in class goes to the 1959 Ferrari 410 Super America owned by Kevin Kogan. And if you don't think that car is beautiful, you need to get your eyes checked. That is an absolutely stunning automobile. You can see the Pininfarina name on the car. Pininfarina began in the really about the mid-50s, becoming the exclusive bodybuilder for Ferrari. It wasn't until the, I guess, late 70s, or really early 80s, till Bertone did one car, but all the other cars were Pininfarina bodies. These Americas were really for Ferrari's best customers, and as such, they were built in very limited numbers.
Absolutely, yeah. It really meant for the royalty. Very high-end cars, very limited production, cost a lot of money, made a lot of profit for Ferrari, which they then turned around and reinvested in the racing program. Of course, that was Enzo's primary interest. The Kogans own this car. It's been shown in many different places, including Pebble Beach, Cavallino, and so on. And they also bring cars and show them in many other parts of the world. One of the major Ferrari shows will be in Abu Dhabi in November. So if you're over there, take a look for one of their cars.
And speaking of unusual, this is one of 12 of this particular car that's built. Absolutely, Kevin, is a stunning, stunning car. One of my favorites. Don't tell anybody. Thank you. Oh, it's not Kevin back there. Thank you. Our best in class in the Ferrari competition cars goes to Stephen and Kim Bruno with a 1952 Ferrari 212 Cabriolet by Pininfarina. The 212 was really available in kind of two forms, either racing or more of the non-racing type of form that you see here. Enzo, as Chris was saying, Enzo realized he had to build production cars and sell them to his clientele in order to be able to afford to build his race cars and to be able to go racing. Just look at the sensuous lines on this car. I mean, it is just beautiful. Again, coach work here by Battista Pininfarina, who really kind of became the exclusive designer for Ferrari. Chris, your final comments here.
Yeah, this is one of the cars that was a dual-use car. It both raced and was a touring car in its early days. It obviously doesn't race anymore, but it certainly is elegant. Been shown at very many shows, Cavallino, Pebble Beach, and others. Always a winner.
Congratulations to Kim and Stephen. You guys, good to see you. Thanks so much. I think our next cars are in reverse order. Am I correct? So, we're going to give you the first-in-class car first. This is Kevin Kogan, and this is Kevin driving. I see him now.
with a 2003 Ferrari Enzo. So this would be best in class amongst the Ferrari supercars. Take a good look, because they only painted 20 of these cars in yellow of the 400 Enzos that were built. This is really a Formula One car for the street. In fact, the most obvious thing about the car is the nose, which looks very much like that of an F1 car that Michael Schumacher would have been driving at the time. But this is the best in class in the Ferrari supercars. And wow, does it look spectacular and fly yellow.
It sure does. For some reasons, I never figured out these fly yellow colors actually draw flies, but they're very impressive. Connor Kogan is the one who's driving this car, and it's also been shown all over the world. So thank you, Connor, for bringing this car.
Great car. Congratulations. Okay, and our second in class, or runner-up, I should say, is Bruce Ellison with a 2015 Ferrari 458 Speciale. When Ferrari gets towards the end of their particular lineup on a car and not producing the car, what they tend to do is create a special edition, perhaps. In this case, the Speciale was really designed for like a spec series for Ferrari. In the case of this particular car, this is one of 3,000 Speciales that were produced from 2013 to 2015, and this particular car is 597 horsepower. That's a naturally aspirated motor too, no turbo or supercharger. Great car. Congratulations on your award. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chris Curran. Thank you, Chris. Aha. Okay, Ken's coming to tell me because we have something coming out of order here. Got it. This would be in the post-war European sports late category, best in class. And is he? And Ken Gross will be presenting the award. Goes to Daniel Carroll with a 1979 Ferrari 308 GT4. This is really kind of an interesting juxtaposition for you to see, because you just heard me say Ferrari pretty much had chosen by the mid-50s Pininfarina as their exclusive designer. Like everybody else, I guess people start to shop around, and in the late 70s, when this car came out, this coachwork was actually done by Bertone. Marcello Gandini was the designer of this particular car for Bertone. This is a mid-rear engine V8 car at the time, and it really kind of set the tone for many of the future Ferraris to come henceforth, in particular the 308 and the 328. Ironically, though, they were designed by Pininfarina, as would be all Ferraris going forth. So this is particularly interesting to see a Bertone-bodied Ferrari. Ken, I know you have something to say.
Just that Enzo Ferrari reportedly, after this design, said, "I'm not sure I want Bertone to design for me anymore." And I don't know why, because I think this little angular sporty car is sharp looking, was and is now.
Agreed, totally. Congratulations, great car. Our next group of cars are kind of, I guess you could say, special in that they are from all of our non-judged categories. We wanted you to see cars from each of these categories, but also from our museum partners across the United States who have been kind enough to bring cars here to show here today. And our first car that's coming up, which was in the post-war American Special Interest category from the Studebaker National Museum in South Bend, Indiana, is a 1947 Studebaker Champion Deluxe four-door station wagon prototype. So if you look at that wagon and you say, I don't think I've ever seen one of those before, you're right, because it's the one and the only. Studebaker was the first American manufacturer to come up with a post-war car after World War II. In fact, their slogan was first by far with a post-war car. How did I do? Was that good? Okay, good. Anyway, point of the story is they were going to build a wagon. They built a prototype. The car was kind of trashed and put aside on the Studebaker Proving Grounds, and it sat there till 1980. Until 1980, it was brought in by a group of volunteers, and the volunteers rebuilt and redid this entire car and almost recreated it to some extent because it was in such derelict condition. So you're getting to see the one and only prototype of the 1947 Studebaker wagon. Ken, I know you have comments.
Well, just that Studebaker as a company date back to the 1800s, and they built Conestoga wagons that the settlers used across the country long before they ever built cars. So it's very appropriate, wooden wagons in the 1800s, and in 1947, a wood-bodied station.
And at the wheel is Andy Beckman, who's the archivist for the Studebaker Museum. Andy, thank you so much for bringing 2 cars here today. We're grateful to have you here. Appreciate it. Our next car is courtesy of the Auburn Court Duesenberg Museum in Auburn, Indiana. It's a Doozy class, which was the Duesenberg class. This is a 1921 Duesenberg Model A Coupe by Bender. So take a really good look at this car because Duesenberg was a race car builder, and like Enzo Ferrari, the Duesenberg brothers, Augie and Fred, realized they needed to build a production car in order to basically fund their habit, which was racing cars. This is the first production Model A. Therefore, this is the first American car with 4-wheel hydraulic brakes. These cars were tested at Indianapolis. This car was built for a Mr. Castle in Hawaii, who was a member of the family that was the Dole Pineapple family. The car was sent to Bender Body Company and had this rather tall kind of coupe body put on the car. Mr. Castle was like 6'5" or something, was he not? He's a very tall man, so he had the car designed to be especially tall so that he could fit in the car with the hat on. It is a stunning automobile, and it is now the property courtesy of the Castle family, who donated it to the Auburn Court Duesenberg Museum.
The Castle family owned this car for 99 years. 99 years, and they bought it new, and they've donated it, as Bill said, to the ACD Museum. So when people say, what's it worth, we'll never know, because it will never be sold again.
That's a great comment. Guys, thank you so much. We really appreciate it for you bringing the car out from Auburn. Actually, they brought 3 cars from Auburn, so that's really quite spectacular. Our next museum partner is from the Lane Motor Museum, and our friend Jeff Lane. Jeff he has the strangest taste in cars, but I'm so glad that he does, because his cars are stuff you'll never get to see anywhere else. This is a Czechoslovakian car called the Tatra. These were built behind the Iron Curtain. They are rear-engined, air-cooled cars. In the case of this car, it is a rear-engine V8 air-cooled car on a T87. The dorsal fin that you see is not phony. It was there to really provide some sort of aerodynamic stability of the car on the Autobahns at high speed. These were a favorite of the officers of the Third Reich. We don't really like to talk about that. However, they were forbidden to drive them because they were killed in so many accidents in them because they were so fast and drove them at such high speed. I mean, there's just so much to say about this car and about Jeff and Derek Moore, Derek, the curator of the museum. Ken, I'm sure you have some great comments.
Well, the car was, the aerodynamics were done by Leon Jouret, and Hans Ledwinka was the engineer. Ledwinka also made an early Volkswagen design. Porsche's design won out, but even Dr. Porsche, speaking about Hans Ledwinka, said, sometimes I looked over his shoulder and sometimes he looked over mine. At the end of World War II, there was a lawsuit and over Volkswagen, and Ledwinka and Tatra were awarded damages.
Great car. Derek, thank you so much. Again, our friends from the Lane Museum who brought us 6 Tatras here today. Just incredible. Great piece of history. And now I'm going to be quiet for a moment because you won't be able to hear me. So bring forward this wonderful wing car. I have one thing to say. God bless America. There was never a foreign car that sounded like that, nor will there ever be. This is very important for me because as a kid growing up, I would watch Chris Economaki on ABC, Wide World of Sports, and watch the wing cars. These are a really marvelous piece of history. You saw 5 of them here today, which is incredible. What happened was Ford began in the 60s with what was called their Total Performance Initiative. Henry Ford wanted to beat everybody on the track, no matter what it cost to do so, and in fact, he won the Le Mans, as you've seen in the movie. He wanted to do the same on NASCAR. 61 to 69, Ford Motor Company was dominant in NASCAR, and Chrysler said, it's over, we're gonna stop this. So what happened was in 68, Ford came out with the Torino, which had this big sloped back roof. And Dodge introduced the Charger. The Charger was a brick on the track. So they filled in the back window and they moved the nose 4 inches, the grill 4 inches forward, and it still didn't win. And then Ford put a slope nose on the Torino called the Talladega, and then Dodge said, all right, one more time, and they came out with this, which was so good they banned it, which is how that always happens. 2 years later, Richard Petty was PO'd about the whole thing, so he said, I want one. He drove for Plymouth, and Plymouth also produced the car for the 1970 season. What's interesting is this is not the same as a Plymouth as it is a Dodge. The wing is different and the nose is different, but they're the same B-body Chrysler underneath. Big 426 Hemi under the hood, and, well, what can I say? This is like my kind of kid growing up.
What's also incredible about these is they did manufacture a production street version, Superbirds and Daytonas, and for a long time they kind of languished on the market, and suddenly people have realized these are just kick-ass. So now the prices are up, and we've got 5 examples today. One other quick point, Ray Evernham did a wonderful seminar about these cars today, and they were talking about going 183, 184, 185. I think Buddy Baker went over 200.
201.
201 in one of these. So thanks for bringing it. It's fabulous.
Great car.
Thank you very much.
I wish you could all be up here. That thing shook this stage. It was wonderful. Our next car is the Fast Brass category, which we owe a lot of thanks to Quirky Coker and also to Dale Crates, who brought us some of these wonderful early cars. The brass era is really January of 1916 and earlier, which all of our brass cars were, except for one. It was a 1918. This particular car is driven by David Giancopoulos from South Yarmouth, Massachusetts. It is a 1910 Nyberg. And if you're looking at the on the hood of the vehicle, it says made in Chattanooga. It is a Chattanooga-made vehicle. Henry Nyberg graduated from technical school in Sweden, came to the U.S., and started an automobile company near Anderson, Indiana. But he was not a good businessman. But he found a financial savior, bought the company back alive, and decided things were so good, he'd build a factory in Chattanooga. Well, that was the second mistake. So things closed very quickly, but not without building a few cars here in Chattanooga. Mr. Nyberg surfaced yet one more time because he found another financial savior, and he built the Empire in Indianapolis, which also did not last very long. But if you got to be at the track yesterday at the Pace Grand Prix, you got to see these cars in action. And these guys and gals don't mess around. They drive these cars like they stole them, as the saying goes. What everybody forgets, they're actually not real fast, but they're pretty fast. But look at the width of the tire contact you have on the road, and the fact that the real big problem is the brakes are not so hot. So you have to really understand how to shift the car, anticipate the car, to understand how to drive one of these. It was my favorite part of the show yesterday at the Grand Prix.
I would add to that the Nyberg is similar to cars like the Stutz Bearcat and the Mercer Raceabout, pre-World War I sports cars. They look just like this: a hood, a gas tank, a frame, no body, no fenders. And they were a guy would be wearing a raccoon coat. There'd be a lady in a fur. They were the hot car before World War I. Now, the important, salient fact today is that sitting next to David is his wife, Daphne, who has written a fabulous book on the wives of pirates. I can't make this up. And her second book is going to be about Sarah Kidd, Isaac Captain Kidd's wife. So, Daphne, all to you.
Thank you guys very much for representing our Fast Brass class. Fast Brass class. Say that fast 3 times. Right, exactly, or we're going to be in trouble. Our next to last, car in the special category is coming from us from the J.W. Marriott collection. And this is a 37, David? A 1937 Talbot Lago T150 SS. Yeah, a CSS. Just take a look at that car. It is what we call today the teardrop school of design. But if you would have said that to Joseph Figoni, he would have been furious because he hated that reference of his cars being referred to as that. That being said, that is what we call them today because it looks like a teardrop very much in motion. Figoni and Falaschi was located in Paris. Joseph Figoni was a man obsessed. He designed his models that appeared with the cars. He dressed them. He made sure their gloves, their shoes, their handbag, everything matched to suit his tastes when he presented his cars at automobile salons throughout the world. This is essentially a racing car underneath, which is what's rather amazing about the car, to have such a sexy body on top.
It really is. It's got a 4-liter 6-cylinder engine with 3 carburetors and a Wilson pre-selector, like a semi-automatic gearbox. These cars were entirely handmade. They made them in 2 different styles, the New York style and the Jean Car style, and about 2,200 hours of labor went into making each body.
Just a remarkable car, and we're so glad that we have one here today. David, thank you so much. Thank Mr. Marriott as well. We really appreciate it. And our last, so to speak, museum car, I guess you could call it that, or recognizing particular museums or collections, goes without saying. This is from the Savoy Museum. This is a DeLorean, as you all probably know when you see it. It goes without saying. Under the hood of this car is a Peugeot Renault Volvo V6 engine. This was John DeLorean's idea of a sports car after he left General Motors. He went to New Brunswick to have these made. Things didn't go particularly well for a multitude of reasons. However, this is a cultural icon of cultural icons because, of course, of the movie Back to the Future, and the rest kind of goes without saying. The rest is history.
Northern Ireland is where these were built.
I'm thinking
you were thinking of the
Brickland.
Yeah, they were built in Belfast, and Belfast was so dangerous in those days. John DeLorean never liked to go there. He was always afraid he'd get assassinated. For those of you who don't know, the Savoy Automobile Museum in Cartersville, Georgia, not far from here, has a wonderful display, 5 galleries. The DeLorean is one of them. In the shotgun here is McCrae Adair, who's the director of the museum. Give us a wave, McCrae. If you haven't been to the Savoy yet, y'all come. It's really great.
Thank you, folks. We appreciate you being here, and we appreciate your support. You bet. And that concludes our museum car presentation. With that being said, we are down to our final 3 awards, including People's Choice, Timeless Elegance, and Best of Show. And I believe we have a presentation by Byron. Here he is. Okay. From Byron DeFore, of course, the founder of the Chattanooga Motorcar Festival. Byron, go for it.
Thank you, my sir.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for traveling down here. I see you around, you know. So I really want to recognize, people are calling my name and thanking me for the Motorcar Festival, but I want to bring the team out. Amber, can you make everyone come down here, please? I know they don't want to, but I want them to come out front. But unfortunately, I have these big visions and dreams, and then people like me probably expect too much, and you see the racetrack, the whole city decorated with everything and the planning, and I hope you would know what it takes to do a festival, right? But it's all these people that do that, and I want to really thank everyone, and not just them, their families, but they do it. You think we have hundreds of people, but it's this group right here, their kids, their husbands have worked for the last 9 months with the planning. I see Sarah down there too, and her daughter. It's amazing what they've gone through, 18 hours a day, probably for the last 4 months, I know. And then, of course, there's Ember Souchet. Come out here, Ember. Ember Souchet, if anyone is connected or ever talk, I want to give her a big hand. I think every year she'll leave me, but she's worked for me since she was 13 years old. All right. But all of you are just very special to me, and the hotel, our hotel is beautiful. I don't know what else to say about this, but you guys have been great to me, and I thank you. And I know you don't get paid. You do have other professional things you need to do. Actually, this one was trying to help me buy cars down at Meekum because I want to please Meekum. I want them to come back, you know. So she was writing down what cars, what I wanted to bid, and of course that doesn't work out ever, you know. Okay, dear, you guys are, thank you again, and let's please give them a big hand, yeah.
And you have your chairman?
Yeah, I do want to do that Chairman's Award. Okay. That's special to me this year. This year, to talk about a little bit, years ago, we knew that to do a motorcar festival, we had to have a lot of people that were could help us bring the right people. Celebrities like these guys, someone that knew and that had some connection and respect from celebrities, like those two right there that just introduced me, and so many of them are. Wayne Carini is back here, and so. The guy that did it is a dear friend of mine that I race with, Dick York. Where is Dick York? Is he here? Not here? Dick, where are you? Is he behind me?
He's coming up in just a second.
He's coming out. But anyway, so Dick and I, many years ago, we're in Atlanta and met each other. I actually explained to him of what a car bomb was. I take it they don't know what it is either. Dick had never had a car bomb. And we were at the Atlanta at one of the races, and so I don't drink them myself personally, but So anyway, Dick enjoyed it. I said, I gave you your first car bump. But Dick is the person that seems to be friends with anyone in the industry. He has a personality. Investments and funds that we do. Dick brings me most of the investors, and you've been a good friend to me, and I so much appreciate it. I want to recognize this year you with the Chairman's Award. And where is the award? Do we have that? Thank you, Joel. And also a watch from Pink Jewelers. Again, they are very kind to present us with this beautiful watch. This is your trophy that says Chairman's Award, Dick York, my champion. My champion. Let's give him a hand. Yeah. Thank you, Dick, for everything you do for me. You're welcome. Really. Thank you.
Byron, thank you very much. Dick, congratulations. And again, thank you to our team here at the Chattanooga Motorcar Festival, who have really done a remarkable job of putting this event together and making us all feel like we're members of the family. So, that being said, our final 3 awards. Bring on the car. Your favorite car today, the People's Choice Award, the car that you chose as your favorite car, belongs to Don Phillips. Man, does that sound good. Quirky, that ought to get your blood boiling. Quirky Coker is our presenter for this particular award. Again, the People's Choice Award, your favorite car goes to Don Phillips with a 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona NASCAR stock car. What is of particular significance about this car? You heard us talk about the winged cars earlier. This particular car was driven by country and western singer Marty Robbins, who was also a NASCAR driver. When this car was raced only by him one time, am I correct, as a Dodge Daytona. So what happens in NASCAR, they change, of course, chassis and bodies and things like that around, but the significance of this is that it was raced by him. Just a remarkable car, and I'll tell you, it is a thrill up here feeling that horsepower shaking this stage. It's wonderful. Congratulations on your award, People's Choice. And every time I go to talk, he revs the car a little harder. Our final 2 awards are coming this way? Okay. Aha. We're going to do an Alan Kulwicki, and we're going to do a reverse oval here. Go the backwards direction. Ladies and gentlemen, the Timeless Elegance Award goes to Stephen and Kim Bruno with a 1952 Ferrari 212 Pininfarina Cabriolet. A Timeless Elegance will be presented by Mike Tilson, our head judge. This Ferrari is really a stunning automobile. As you can see, on the front cowl of the car, down at the behind the front wheel, is of course the Pininfarina signature. This is a Pininfarina coach-built body. This particular car was, as I was saying earlier, the idea that Enzo Ferrari needed to build production cars in order to finance his racing automobiles. So for his wealthy clients, he built these particular beautiful automobiles. It is said that he modeled his V12 engine after the Packard V12 because the American Packard V12 was so silent and so smooth in operation. And if you were standing up here, I mean, this just has a wonderful mellow sound to it and just as smooth as silk. Stephen and Kim, congratulations. It's good to see you guys too. Thanks and congrats on your award, the Timeless Elegance Award. And without further ado, drummers, winner of Best in Show for the 2022 Chattanooga Motorcar Festival, Mr. Jack Boyd Smith and his 1937 Cord 812 Phaeton. It's appropriate for me to do several things. First of all, and our award, I'm sorry, is being presented by our good friend, Mr. Wayne Carini of TV's Chasing Classic Cars and Wayne Carini's The Chase magazine. Jack has a wonderful collection of cars, and Jack is very kind to always share his cars with everybody. This particular car, you heard me say, was go ahead, guys, the second production car, Cord's second production car as a front-wheel drive automobile. There would not be another front-wheel drive car until 1966 when Olds introduced the Tornado. But of particular significance, this car, which is painted Palm Beach tan, was Amelia Earhart's particular car. She was an owner of this automobile, and unfortunately, of course, she was lost going over the Pacific Ocean in her quest to fly around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2022 Best of Show at the Chattanooga Motorcar Festival, Mr. Jack Boyd Smith. If you would all hang around a little bit, you're welcome to take pictures. Where is the guys from the Torque Show? They're going to close out the show. That ends it for me. Thank you all. You've been a wonderful audience. I'm losing my voice. You've been a wonderful audience, and I can't thank you enough for being here. God bless everyone. God bless America. You guys, take it away.
Thank you very much, Bill. Thank you. God, doesn't he do it? Don't go anywhere, sir. We need you guys. Okie dokie, come and join us if we could. A little chat. Come on in.
Get the restoration company here.
We need the restoration company. Tommy, why don't you stand on that side? Okay, well, thank you for watching so far, but let's have a chat with our winners. Tommy?
Jack Boyd Smith, are you surprised? What are your feelings in this moment?
It's a great car. I mean, Amelia Earhart owned it. It's got the provenance. It took Best in Class, Best in Show, and Best Cord at ACD last year. Great restoration by Levine Restoration. It's done well.
Probably maybe the most advanced car of its time. Is that, what drove you to this type of car?
What drove me to this car is Amelia Earhart and Provenance. Because there's other Cords out there. It is advanced. It's front-wheel drive. It's got hidden headlights.
Well, all we know is that it caught everyone's imagination when it drove up onto the stage. Everybody went, I heard some of the judges say, that was my pick. I mean, all through the venue, everybody's been looking at it. Well, what we're going to ask you to do is if you could make your way up to the beautiful statue, you're going to sign it as this year's winner.
So this is a perpetual trophy, kind of like the Stanley Cup. And Byron's vision, this trophy was commissioned about 4 years ago, and with COVID, it got stuck basically and couldn't get back. And so the idea is to have you sign it. They're going to engrave your name, so it'll be there permanently. You can come back with your grandkids, their grandkids, 100 years from now, and it will have your name on it as a Best in Show winner of the Chattanooga. That is Alberto Ascari, and you see him in the logo as well of the whole festival. So you're going to climb that ladder. Be careful up that ladder and put your signature on there.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed the whole week. Yeah, big round of applause for everybody involved. And thank you for making this so special. Remember, this is truly one of the most unique car events in the world. It has street racing, it has the Concours d'Elegance, it just has the best group of people putting it together. A big round, look, he's hiding away. Byron DeFore, everybody, for making this happen. Oh yeah, a lot of people have been making their way over the last couple of years to come back. Totally. So what we're going to... Sorry, Tommy, what was that?
He wanted the 2 years ago winners have already signed it. He wanted to make sure that they had signed the trophy.
Well, that's it pretty much from us. I definitely remember this is sponsored by some incredible partners, Millennium Bank, VW, Coca Tires, and many more. Thank you for being a part of it, every one of us. We are the talk show. We didn't do so much talking today. It was all down to Bill Rothermel. We will be back next year. I hope you will too. Spread the word. There is no other car event in America quite like this one. Thank you very much, everyone. See you soon.